Okay, perfect. Uh, Welcome to Fluent Pro webinar. Today we'll talk about disaster recovery and data protection for Microsoft Project Online. This webinar is with today in August, and uh, a little bit about our company, Fluent Pro. So we are Microsoft Gold partner. We build products for Microsoft PPM platform, for Project Server, for Microsoft Project Online. We also have a number of different products, not only as a solution for backup, but also tools for migration, administration, reporting, integration, so multiple software solutions. We're based out of Seattle area. My name is Anton, and I will do the presentation today. I have my colleague Gennady. He's our solution consultant. He'll do the actual demo of the solution today. So very quickly about our agenda. So we'll cover few main things. So first of all, state of the things and why you need a backup. Benefits of using the backup and what you can get from the backup. Scope, what you need to protect in your project online to make sure that there is no data loss. We'll show the product, very brief demo, and please feel free if during the demo you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the question sections. We will try to answer them during the demo or right after the demo. So any type of question, feel free to write, and we'll cover that. We'll have a small Q&A session, so if you have additional questions after the presentation, feel free to write them as well. The session is being recorded. We'll provide the recording after the webinar. Typically, within a couple of days, you will receive an email with a link to the webinar, so you can download and share within your organization and within your team. So very quickly about state of your PWA. I will be quite open here. So, and I know that I'm making kind of like a bold statement, but it's very close to the truth. You are, and your PWA is not protected from the loss of a project. There is no archival feature. In many cases, your users have rights to delete projects. Your project manager at least have permissions to overwrite the content of the project, or they can simply just open it in project and select all and press delete button. So it's really, you're not protected from human errors. You're finally protected from data loss on your entire tenant. So if anything happened to your Office 365 tenant or to your site collection, Microsoft can help you with that. But in lots of individual projects, lots of individual sites, lots of individual documents. Even if you have your backups in MPP files from time to time, they are outdated and very likely they are locally stored at laptop of your project manager or someone else in your organization. So bold statement, you are not protected. And many companies, they do not realize it, and they underestimate impact of the data loss. It takes at least 8 hours to rebuild a large project, even more. We've seen several customers who spend days and weeks truly rebuilding the schedule. Imagine that you have a project with several thousand clients and you have latest backup a month ago. And it's a large project that it will take you days and weeks to restore and make sure that everything is up to date. What we found is, based on our statistic and working with our customers and doing the surveys for our current customers, that human error is most typical data loss scenario. Someone just going on the projects, they deleting the tasks, they just collapse it summary task and press delete. They get the old version of the file, like MPP file, and copied information. They just in case deleted somehow they went and deleted a project. So it's a most common error that someone just makes that human error. It's not intentional, but it still leads to the data loss. Majority of the companies, as I mentioned, they do not understand that they're vulnerable in terms of project data, and companies have no disaster recovery process defined and tested. Like what you need to do. What if project gets deleted? What if your project get data is missing? What if the project is corrupted? What if the schedule is corrupted? What to do next? Uh, and we recommend companies to define that, and our solution helps with that. As I mentioned, Microsoft can restore your entire site collection. Microsoft is take care and great in providing the protection for your entire site collection, for your entire SharePoint content, for your entire tenant. So you're protected there, but the problem with individual data points that's where you are not protected. If you see that there is a potential that something is not working in your PWA, and you see that across multiple projects, definitely Microsoft support should be your first stop. Or if you have a partner who helping you or providing the professional services, you can reach out. You can reach out to the partner. Maybe they can help. But very likely you will have to reach out to Microsoft, to their support, and they will help you to solve those problems. It takes time, but Microsoft will do it. So we had a couple scenarios where there were multiple, there's like complete failures. It was Frank saying that it was a while ago, but it takes some time to restore the entire PWA. And at that time, like it means that you really cannot do anything in that environment. Very quickly about our solution. So what we offer is we have a software solution. It's a cloud-based software. It's called the Fluent Pro GA Suite. It stands for the Governance Administration Suite. The software provides a data protection for your data in Microsoft Project Online, projects, and all the SharePoint content. It runs on Microsoft Azure. All your data is encrypted and stored. It is very secure. Only you can access the data, and it connects to your PWA. You can have, in fact, multiple PWAs connected to that. So if you have multiple PWAs, let's say PWA for IT, for marketing, for HR, or different complex scenarios, we support all those protection for all those PWAs. We have some customers. One of our largest customers, they have more than 20 PWAs where they do the protection, and they use our tool not just for protection but also for administration of those PWAs. So it's all part of that suite. That's why it's kind of like governance administration suite. Very quick slide. We are pretty proud about our software. It's widely used by large and medium-sized customers with Project Online. We have more than 150 customers that use our software for backup and for administration. We process a lot of the backups. It's thousands of daily backups, thousands of projects in the backups that we make every day. Anywhere over, I would say that average customers that they have approximately like 300, like on most cases, like they have about 300 projects, and on average they have about 50 active projects that they're on the daily backups, because you have an option to optimize what you have. You do not have to make a full snapshot every day, and we'll cover that a little bit. In terms of preparation, one of the features that we have is archival feature. It's part of G Suite, and it also is a part of your PWA administration and protection environment. The idea is that in most cases, companies use PWA for Project Online for years, and you might have PWA with hundreds of projects or even thousands of projects, but at the same time, you might have only maybe 50 projects active. It's a 50 projects that you are working right now. Maybe for current year, that number would be like 200 projects, 100 projects. And we provide ability for companies to reduce it, to reduce the load to their PWA and move projects that really you don't have to archive or backup, you can move them to archival PWA. So we recommend to provision the new PWA, and you can move all the project, let's say projects older than 1 year. You can move that to the archival PWA, and they will be safely stored there. You can, your security can be configured that your users have, let's say, read-only access to that PWA. You can configure that your admins can configure that, and your users will be able to like access projects anytime, but they really won't be in the main PWA. You can still run reports, you can still use Power BI, you can do all that, but again, like it will be uh, just for your old projects. And in production PWA, in your production tenant, you will have just, or instance, you will have your active project, or maybe project for last year, where you might want to like very quickly get to those projects, see the details, or run reports on the project, for example, for current fiscal year or for calendar year, as an example. In terms of prioritization, like again, like we recommend to archive those projects when you plan to deploy your disaster protection and recovery strategy. Archive all the data. It will be, your reporting will run much faster, and you move all the data to different people. It's a full snapshot. Your schedule will be moved, your SharePoint data will be moved, your everything will be moved to that archival PWA. In terms of data protection and what to back up and what we support as in our software solution, what we support is that we back up everything around the project schedule, all the project level custom fields, all the workflow, all the task level custom fields. So everything, like everything that you see in PWA and in file will be provided. So all customization that you have in your PWA, including any custom fields, everything, all the data that will be carried over and that will be backup. Same goes for with project sites. For your project sites, we will create a full snapshot of your project site with absolutely all content. Your document libraries, custom content types, your custom lists, your risk, your issues, everything will be supported, everything will be migrated, everything will be stored in the backup. And you will be able to restore single element, and we'll show that in the demo, that you'll be able to restore all that information. Optional feature we have is ability to back up timesheets. That's for historical change. We see some companies doing that, so they can identify like if it is supported. We provide the partial. There are a lot of limitation around restoring the timesheets, but we provide the reporting access to that data, so you can export, you can view it for comparison. So that's also one of the features that we have. Mostly the very large customers are using for compliance. For compliance purposes, they use backup of timesheets. You can consider backup as a full snapshot of a project and SharePoint site into our database, but we provide you that ability to get the data anytime, get a single element, or even download the MP2 file from your backup anytime. In terms of how often you need to back up and what needs to be included in, let me just a second. Okay, I got some warning here. So in terms of how often to back up and what to back up, they recommend that you need to definitely do the initial archiving, then you do the initial backup. Very likely it's a full snapshot or partial snapshot of all of your information. Then you do monthly, weekly, and daily backups. You can configure different scope, you can configure different details in G Suite, but that will provide you the ability to limit amount of data, and you can backup only what really changed in your PWA. So we have some recommendations around that, and our team, when you deploy G Suite, we will be able to support you and help you configure that. One of the recent cases that I want to highlight, for example, uh, we've seen we've seen a case where the customer identified some change. That's timesheet. There was differences between the timesheet information and project, and the reason was that someone went and deleted several sections in projects, summary tasks, so the data were missing. And they resulted very quickly when I identified the problems that it was like their problem for specific projects. They got the BMPP files, they figure out the difference, they restore those files, and it was immediately state was resolved, and they were able to restore information, make sure that their reports are running fine. So that's just one of the example. But again, like it's mostly the problem with data is that someone, just project manager, non-intentionally just making a change, and that change is breaking the data consistency, it's deleting the task or it's deleting a project, and that leads to solutions to problems that needs to be addressed. Okay, we are moving to the demo right now. Demo will be like about 10 minutes. Again, like if you have any questions during the demo, please feel free to write that in the question section in your GoToMeeting application, and we'll try to show that during our presentation. So let me switch control to Gennady, and we'll go from there. Yeah, perfect. Gennady, you should have control.
Thank you, Anton. Can you please confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. And by the way, we have one question about the content in the archive, but I think we can address it after my demo, because my demo will mostly include the data protection and not the archive. Okay, so speaking about the data protection, we can tell when you add the PWA into G Suite, we can tell what are the projects in that PWA, and after you configure the backup, we can tell which projects are protected and how well they are protected. So on this data protection screen, you can see the list of the projects from the PWA. You can see that they can be set into various categories like all protection, protected, and unprotected. In my case, there are no unprotected projects in the entire PWA, so I have protected all of them. But if you have any projects that are not protected in your PWA, you can definitely look at them on this screen and on this using this view. And the table on the screen in terms of the project is divided into two parts. The left part is about the protection and about the on-demand backup for individual projects. The right side is about the restore of the individual projects from the backups that were created before, whether those were the manual backups or whether those were the scheduled backups. It doesn't really matter. So here we just see the protection icon, the icon that says, okay, this project is protected, and we can initiate the new backup for a project just by clicking on the project and saying backup now. So that would create an on-demand backup for my project. It can be used in some cases if you need to introduce some major changes into the project, or we can protect the SharePoint sites or the PWA configuration. If you know that you will be making the changes and you want just to prepare a quick backup to be sure that you're on the safe side, you can absolutely do this. Now, if you already have the backups and you are willing to restore something, for example, you want to restore a given project, and then you just choose the date you look at this table, which says that, okay, my project is protected and I have backups that that were completed every day. I can click on the date. I'm getting into this project restore window, and then on my next screen, I will be choosing the parameters of the restore. We have the notification email, and that's a kind of a very important thing, that your notification, your email is set here. So you receive a notification whether an operation, the backup, a restore, a copy is a success or failure. You will be notified about this. Now, the target allocation for the restore is also an important thing, because we can restore to the same PWA, which is what happens by default, but we can also restore to a different PWA, and that's what we recommend our customers to do. When you have the project that has a problem and you're willing to restore the project from a backup, we don't recommend to restore it to the production PWA right away. We recommend to restore it to the test PWA, which has the same configuration as production. And there on the test PWA, you can evaluate your project that you've restored and then understand if this version looks good, if you wanted to restore it to production, or do you need to look for another backup. With the restore mode, we also support several options. So the default mode is to overwrite the existing project. The second possibility is to restore with a different name. We append the copy to the project name if you want it to restore to the same PWA, but just with a different name. That will work. And the option to delete before upload. So the projects are always restored as a whole. This option mostly applies to the project sites. Speaking about the project sites, when we go to the SharePoint sites over here, we can see how well the sites are protected. For example, this one has no backups during the recent days, but it still has the backups in the month or in the retention policy. So it is still protected, but no recent backup. So this might require your attention. And now, if I wanted to create a backup for this one, I can go ahead and do the backup now. If I want to restore something, then I can go to the individual site and then click on the restore. The menus would be very, very similar, with the difference being that in the SharePoint site, I can even restore an individual document or individual list item. So that's where I can go to the very much detail, and I will be able to restore very, very tiny pieces of the SharePoint site. So it's definitely not necessary to restore the whole site. Very similar to this, and by the way, the option to delete the sites is not enabled by default. So we are restoring as in the merger mode. So if any content exists with the same name, any documents exist with the same name, we will override them. But if they don't exist in the backup, they exist on the site, we will not touch them. They will coexist with any content that you've restored. You can change the behavior. So now the subsites, not the site collection itself, the subsites will be deleted before restore. And your restore will be clean restore, and the result would be only the content that you had in the backup. And for the configuration, this is very similar. I can restore any part of the configuration. I can see any part of the configuration being protected or not, and I can restore that, but I can also choose which elements from the configuration get restored. So if I don't want to restore all the custom fields, definitely, I can just select a few and restore them to the PWA. I can search for the backups, and if I want to get a restore, for example, of this apparel, So I have the site with this name. I just type the name of the project or a site, and I have the project with this name. So I can definitely find it, and that's very easy. So this is all available on the same page. And while it is possible to do the backup now, which is the on-demand backup with all the content, including the configuration, the projects, and the sites, and it is definitely possible after you get familiar with the product to schedule the backup or backups. We support multiple schedules to kind of create the protection scenario that will work for you. The basics are available just from this data protection page. So that's your starting page in G Suite, and you can work with it and make sure that your data is well protected and that that you're able to back up and restore all the content in the PWA. So that's what I wanted to mention. If you have any questions about the data protection, about the way how we include the components into the backups, or any other questions about this, please write them in the question section. And Anton, I think we should address the question about the archive. So the question was, does the archive include custom content? And the answer is yes. The archive will include the custom content that you have. So you can copy the same items that you're able to protect, except for the timesheets, and any kind of configuration, any projects, any SharePoint sites that you had in the source site, they can be copied, they be carried over to the archival site as well.
Yes, Gennady, thank you. Yeah, so when you archive a project, you need to understand that it's kind of like it's a full snapshot of your project. So it includes everything. It includes your like complete data with all the customization, with everything, your entire configuration, your entire configuration with all the custom fields and everything on the project level, your look and feel, your everything. So it's not just the projects. You can clone the entire PW with all the settings and including the workflows to your archival PW. So you have that protection as well. There's a good question. There's a good question about if the backup data is encrypted in Cloud Archive. Yes, it is encrypted. We're using the key vault for storing that. So it's like we do not have access to your data. So it's completely encrypted, and you can encrypt it with your keys. So that's fully supported. Another point that you can use your data storage, your Azure storage for that. What I mean is you can your data will be only processed in kind of like on our service in Azure, but your data will be stored in your Azure storage, and you can encrypt it. And again, like we can only write there in encrypted format. We do not have access to that information. So system is secure. We have a separate document for security. So if you have any questions about security, please feel free to send us email. But it is highly secure with all the data encrypted, and we at FluentFlow, we do not have access to your data inside of the archives because they will be encrypted with your keys. So a few things though, business value of application. So we can help you to get your data protected by implementing G Suite. You will have the ability to not only archive, but also like to have a backup of all the information and use functionality in software to administer Microsoft Project Analysis. We have all those capabilities: clone, copy, compare, restore as a new, restore as a, so multiple features. So the product is on the market for more than 5 years. We have lots of customers, large customers who are using all the software daily. And they use it to manage very complex environments. So we will provide you with complex data protection. We have all the functionality to identify the gaps, so that is reducing the work on your admins. We have dynamic backup features where you can create a backup that automatically backup every day projects that you change in last so many days. So that's that will be provided. By implementing backup, you can minimize the downtime because you have backup. You already can quickly decide what to do next and restores that project. You can optimize your configuration and data volume. And again, like as I mentioned, tools provides administration feature. There's one more question. How can I check amount of storage used by project side backup? So we have all that information in G Suite, so you can understand that. The pricing for G Suite is based on the number of projects and number of your PWAs that you are working with. So that's pretty much the number. So we have some limitation on the data volume, but it's mostly for very large amounts. For example, let's say that if you might have a surcharge for data if you have, let's say, if each of your project site has like tens of gigabytes of data or gigabytes of data, which is quite a rare scenario. But typically when we back up, you know how much is your project, how much data you have in SharePoint. So we provide all the statistics. I wanted to cover one more element. So we have new offering. I'm getting those. Just a second. We have one new offering from Fluent Pro. It's called the PPM Care. We provide the managed data protection and migration for your PWA as well as administration. So we provide our software as a subscription, so you can buy it for 1 year. So you have definitely an option. You can buy just the software, but you cannot get a managed offering. And as well, we include the Power BI and Power Apps consulting into our offering. So we have a lot of experience with building the Power Apps and automation and building the Power BI reports. We have multiple reports available for the customer. So if it happens that you need to extend your team with project online administration experts, we are more than happy to do that, and we'll help you to configure all the software and make sure that you do not have any data gaps and you're running optimally. Your data is protected. You have everything for your life cycle. So if you would like to learn anything about that or service or about our software, please feel free to reach out to us. So you can send email to info or sales@fluentpro.com. Feel free to give us a call or learn more on our website. So more than welcome. We do provide trials. We do provide the individual demos. So if you have any question or would like to play with the tool or discuss a specific data protection scenario, we are here to help. Thank you for your time. If any question, feel free to reach out to me, and have a nice day.